The Chief Plane wants you to know that the April 2022 risk of the month is loss of control in flight. Captain Kaburaki wants to know, did you report? Because he wants voluntary safety reports just as much as we do. No doubt you still remember the Swiss cheese model of risk that you learned in ground school. But do you remember learning about the error chain? I bet you do. In aviation, the error chain refers to the fact that multiple contributing factors, think of them as links in a chain, are what typically lead to an accident. And if you break any one of the links, then the accident is likely to not occur. The key is to be diligent and recognize the links when you see them, and when you do, break the chain. And when you do break a link in a chain that could have led up to an accident, that's always a fantastic subject for a voluntary safety report. And why is that? Well, the answer is simple. Not only are you giving feedback to management about things that are going wrong, but you're telling them what's going right, what's working. So for the month of April, we're looking for voluntary safety reports where crews have broken the chain that could have led to loss of control. Okay, that's enough of that. Feeling a little bit dizzy here. Oh, not feeling too good. Getting a little weak. Okay, that's enough. Yeah, stop it. So what do we mean when we're talking about loss of control in flight? Well, let's go with how the FAA defines it. A loss of control in flight accident involves a significant unintended departure of an aircraft from controlled flight, resulting in an unrecoverable deviation from the intended flight path. Loss of control in flight can happen because the aircraft enters a flight regime that is outside its normal flight envelope and may quickly develop into a stall or spin. Contributing factors may include poor judgment or aeronautical decision-making, a failure to recognize an aerodynamic stall or spin and execute corrective action, the intentional failure to comply with regulations, and failure to maintain airspeed. Other contributing factors may include the failure to follow procedure, pilot inexperience and proficiency, and the use of prohibited or over-the-counter drugs, illegal drugs, or alcohol. Did you know that according to the FAA, about 450 people are killed each year in general aviation accidents? Loss of control was the number one cause of these accidents. Loss of control happens in all phases of flight, and it can happen anywhere and at any time. And keep in mind, there is one fatal accident involving loss of control every 4 days. It is common to hear that loss of control is the cause of aircraft accidents, but that really isn't true. Loss of control is merely the inevitable, and usually fatal, end result following a chain of actions that came before it. The FAA safety team, also known as the FAST team, has identified loss of control in flight as one of its most urgent problems to solve, and they've put a lot of training content onto their Wings Pilot Proficiency Program. Let's take a quick look at some excerpts I grabbed from their Wings course entitled Avoiding Loss of Control. These screen grabs give you just a taste of the enormous amount of content that's in this course. But these 7 key takeaways are the main points the FAA wants people to be aware of. Stalls. And as you remember, a stall is caused when the wing's critical angle of attack is exceeded. This can happen in any flight attitude, not just when the nose is above the horizon. There's the importance of a solid and competent pre-flight preparation, which, when done correctly, helps to avoid creating the very first link in an error chain that can lead to a loss of control accident. Mindfulness of the inherent dangers of maneuvering flight. Several maneuvering flight scenarios are common causal factors in loss of control accidents, such as overshooting the turn from base leg to final approach, poorly executed go-arounds, attempting to avoid terrain or obstacles shortly after takeoff, and showing off for your friends. VFR flight into instrument meteorological conditions. And here we're not just talking about non-instrument rated pilots venturing into IMC conditions both unintentionally and intentionally, but also instrument rated pilots who get in over their heads because the conditions are simply beyond their limits or they haven't kept up with their proficiency. And even a proficient instrument pilot can lose control of an aircraft if they suddenly enter IMC by surprise, which is why thorough pre-flight planning is so important. There are certain weather phenomena that are frequently associated with loss of control accidents, such as, for example, thunderstorms that has effects that extend well beyond the actual cell you can see. There's turbulence created by thunderstorms and other ways that can increase the possibility of loss of control. Turbulence can also lead to accelerated pilot fatigue, which also increases risk factors. And let's not forget structural icing that alters the aerodynamic characteristics of the wing and increases stalling speed while altering stall characteristics. There is the ever-present danger that crews become so wrapped up with troubleshooting minor distractions that they forget to fly the airplane. And finally, the FAA is concerned with making sure everyone has awareness of the importance of maintaining pilot proficiency. Proficiency is not something that stays the same over time. Recency of experience, health, medications, fatigue, and worry can all have an impact on proficiency. The FAA recommends that pilots maintain a high level of capability by engaging in recurrent training, flying only when healthy, well-rested, and not burdened by excessive worry. And what's one really good way of maintaining and increasing your proficiency? Well, says the FAA, funny you should ask that. The FAST Team's Wings Proficiency Program is designed to do exactly that. And we here at CAE can't recommend it highly enough. So go to www.faasafety.gov/wings and check it out for yourselves if you haven't done so already. And be sure and tell them that Eric and Kevin at CAE Safety sent you. Now don't forget, there is a huge difference between voluntary and mandatory safety reports. And the whole reason behind the risk of the month is to point out opportunities to give us more voluntary safety reports. If a loss of control event leads to an accident or incident, that's a mandatory safety report to tell us what went wrong. But if you immediately regain control, or better still, you see circumstances where you likely would have experienced a loss of control but for applying the good training you've received, now that's an excellent opportunity for a voluntary safety report to tell us what went right. Please use voluntary safety reports to tell us what's working and how well it's working. Training management and the FAA both want to take whatever has been proven works to reduce risks and do more of that. And that's going to help make aviation safer for everybody. Thank you.